Hey, it's Coach Mark from Soldiers of Fitness. Today we are talking about the side split, so being able to open up my legs all the way into a side split seated position. So this is not something that I can do. It's not something I've worked on. It's not one of my goals for your goal video of the day. This is what I'm working on. So for a client who wants to be able to get to the side splits, what do we work on a regular basis? And like everything else, if you work on it often enough, you'll get to it. If you only want to do it once a week or once every couple of weeks, and it sounds like a nice goal, you probably won't. You probably never get the ability to do it, or it'll take a very, very long time. So it's consistent effort, knowing what to do through that consistent effort. So side splits, and the first thing we want to do is warm up. So you want the groin, the hip and external rotation, a lot of those muscles, hamstrings, warmed up so that we can actually open up far enough to get closer to that position, and then working within the parameters of that position. So, and something we can start with is things like front kicks. So warming up the hamstring for the back load and the front load. All right, so just warming up the hamstring and the hip for a little bit of flexion and extension. The last thing you'll ever be able to do is go into an easy split, or chances are you'll never go into a super easy split without properly warming up first. And the risk of injury is always high if you do. So we're going to go 10 times per leg. This is just to get the hamstring moving. There's all kinds of, I'm not going to go into a huge warm-up, even though your warm-up should probably be about 10 minutes long, just because I don't want to spend this whole video showing you a bunch of different warm-up protocols. So I'm going to show a little bit of all the joints. I'm going to talk about how we're going to get into the position. Obviously you'll know to warm up, or hopefully now you know to warm up for at least 10 minutes of these different positions, even more movements to get things really going. You will know at a certain point where your limitation is on this movement, whether or not it's the hamstrings. If you open up your hamstrings are tight, or your hips don't externally rotate, or your groin is too tight, or whatever is going on in there that's preventing you from getting into the splits, or you just need time to literally go into that much extension. You'll find out, and those are the things that you want to warm up even more and work on, and then you kind of hone and define from there. So second, side kicks. So just going left to right, and I'm turning my toe in the direction that I'm traveling. So I'm going to be pointing my toe inward and outward, in and out, 10 times per side. Okay, that's making my hip rotate in and out. Ball and socket joint, right? Ball and socket joint. We want the ball and the socket to move. So we're moving, pointing the toe so that it goes that way. Right, now I'm going to change sides. So we're going to aim for 10 or so per side. You don't have to do these exact exercises for 10 minutes, but including a little bit of dynamic movement as part of your warm-up is a very good idea. What you do specifically is kind of up to you. There's no right or wrong in well, there can be wrong approaches, but often in a warm-up, I mean, if you're just moving and all those muscles and stuff are working as you move, then you're probably doing okay. So next one we're going to do is a sumo squat. So really wide sumo squat, and then come down and come back up. As I push my knees out, now I don't want to sumo squat with my feet really wide and then let my knees cave in, because I'm not stretching my groin, I'm not opening up my hips, I'm not doing any of those things. I want to make sure that my knees stay out. So as I come down to this deep position, and I can actually stay here for a minute and push against my knee to open up my groin, because this is where I feel it right now. So I'm doing my sumo squats, and I feel as I push away and I open up my knee, I feel a lot of my groin stretching. So I probably already know, given what I know about myself, it's going to be my hamstring and my groin are probably going to be my two limiting factors. My hip rotation is quite good in respect to what I'm trying to warm up and what I'm trying to do in this movement. So my limitations probably isn't going to be my hip, at least not to start. It's going to be my groin and probably my hamstring, if that. So coming up and down, so we're just going 10 times, just pushing out. I can already feel those muscles getting warmer, feeling a little bit less tense as I'm coming up and down. Good, now I can, from a kneeling position, so we're going to straighten up this leg. What I'm going to do is hinge forward with my knee bent. So I'm getting a lot of the whole hamstring itself, and then backing up to a straight leg. Coming forward, backing up to a straight leg. So this is going to warm up the hamstring again through dynamic movement. It's not ballistic. I'm not going insane. I'm not just pulsing like crazy. It's just movement, dynamic movement. Right? This is warming up my hamstring. 9, 10. Other leg. So definitely right leg. So I'm already noticing just from left leg to right leg that my right hamstring is a lot tighter, and that's pretty congruent with some of the hamstring things I've had going on with my running. And when I get it loose and I work on it, and then I run, tighten it back up again. So that's just a little niggle I've been working on. And you can use these kind of movements as diagnostics for your own self. So I'm going to a pigeon. So just 10 times low. I could stay high and stretch my hip flexor a bit more if I felt like my hip flexor was really tight, and then come down low, stretch my hip. So at 90 degrees here, really rotating the hip and coming down. Again, this is not something everyone's going to be able to do. A lot of people, depending on your flexibility, you're going to lean over at 90 degrees here with this foot out, and you're just going to think, oh crap, I'm not going anywhere. If you can even get into this position, which a lot of people will struggle with. But just keep working on it. And this is, if your goal is to side split, even if your goal is just to increase flexibility, that's a really good skill to have, the ability to just drive the hip down and stretch the hip flexor, come down and stretch the hip, and doing that 10, 15 times. Good, and last of the warm-up, this particular warm-up, I'm going to do the frog. So widening as much as I can, coming on my elbows, and driving my hips back. Good, that's about 15. Okay, so that's like a reasonable workout. I don't know how long that took, like 5 minutes, maybe you've been watching me. That's an okay warm-up. Probably want to do a lot more than that. But I'm going to get into the actual side split. Now, to break into the side split, I think one of the most effective ways, and one of the ways it was taught to me, is through PNF stretching. With PNF, what we're doing is essentially we're contracting the muscle in a stretch position. And we're going to hold that contraction for 5 seconds and release that contraction and pulse with dynamic movement a little bit deeper into it, and then squeeze and hold and pulse. And we're getting the muscles to squeeze and then relax and squeeze and then relax. And it's just going to open us up a lot faster than just a static stretch necessarily would. So, getting into our side splits position, because the goal is to eventually get my hip up to this position, so there's still quite a distance to go. So going into this position with my foot in a neutral position here, and these are wide for me because I'm tall. You can probably use shorter ones if you want to. I can already feel my groin stretching just sitting in this position. One thing I want to be mindful of is my pelvic position as well. So I may have to, depending on how the rest of this goes, sometimes I push on the ground to raise my pelvis up off the ground to make sure it's really flat, or getting a cushion and sitting down on it, which will raise my butt up off the ground and get me sitting in a better pelvic position. Because if my pelvis is rounded when I'm at the bottom of this position, that's not really good for the stretch. I want to have my pelvis in a really good position. So what I'm going to do here, so I'm in this stretch position here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over and I'm going to pulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And whatever I feel in the groin, I'm going to squeeze that muscle for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to come up and I'm going to do the same to this side. Reach over, pulsing down 2, 3, 4, 5, and then squeeze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then squeeze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. So after all those releases, I'm already doesn't feel good angle. I'm already a few inches, or yeah, probably a couple of inches closer than I moved. So still, quite a distance away, probably almost half a foot away from the goal of the side split, but definitely a lot more opened up. So from here, I could just continue doing the same thing with the 5 pulses. You may want to continue with the same leg. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, squeezing and holding, and then getting even deeper on that side. 2, 3, 4, 5, squeeze and hold, and then deeper. So doing it 5 times. So think in 5s, 5 seconds, 5 pulses, or 5 pulses, 5 seconds, 5 times, and doing that 5 times. And as you continue to hold, and as you continue to do that, going back and forth, and that pulse coming forward, doing 5, you'll start to get looser and looser, and open up even more. So I've opened up even more. Okay? So now I'm getting quite a bit closer here. I'd have to look, I'm probably only maybe 4 or 5 inches away, which is decent from the side split. So it's still got quite a bit of opening to do. That's still a lot in terms of getting to a split, but you get the idea. So that routine, good warm up, getting into a split position, so warming up all the muscles, warming up the hips in the different positions, and then getting into the side split, doing the PNF to open up, getting closer is a really good start. Do that 3 or 4 times a week consistently for a few weeks and see how much closer you come. Again, you got to put the work in. So if you want to go, put in the work.